the post-fight recap, let's just touch on these two fights quickly. You know, we're not going to spend too much time on them. Emanuel Navarrete and Robson Conceicao, what did you think about the fight? What were your thoughts about that fight? Man, first and foremost, man, shout out to Robson Conceicao. He left everything inside of the ring. Like, he left every single part of him and tried to do everything to win that fight. You saw when the decision came, how excited he was and just happy. I thought he was boxing very well throughout that fight, man. Even when he was tired, like there were times like when I forgot what round it was, but they did the replay and he was walking to his stool and the man could barely even like stand, barely even walk. The legs were shaking. It's like he just did leg day in the gym back to back to back to back. I don't even know how he was able. I thought they were going to stop the fight because I'm like, yo, he's taking a lot of punishment here. Like, he's getting punched up in this fight. But to his credit, he came forward, he came back and really just limited Navarrete with a simple 1-2 combination. Left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. Every time Navarrete tried to get close, Conceicao would respond with a simple combination and they would back him up, and it worked. And so my hat goes off to him because, one, he did not quit. Like, his body was probably tired. The mind probably wanted to fold. But man, he did not, like, he willed himself to finish the fight. He willed himself to keep throwing because his shots didn't always have steam on them, but it was enough to back up Navarrete. Now, let's talk about Navarrete, man. Man, when they were talking about, they did the interview with Navarrete and Navarrete was in the bed eating Twinkies, downing Twinkies. You know, you never know how people exaggerate these stories. And the thing with that situation for me, man, is Navarrete, and I tweeted this. If you're not following me on Twitter, at underdog AKH, follow me on Twitter, well, X. You know, especially on the weekends, you know, we got to talk about boxing when it is on. But man, Navarrete, as I tweeted, he had some great moments, but it was a very sloppy fight. Like, it wasn't really a good fight for Navarrete, man. Physically, he didn't really look like he was in shape to me, man. And usually, you know, it's a back and forth between that. But sometimes Navarrete is up here. And I tweeted this as well. I said, Navarrete is one of the few fighters that can look terrible in moments and then great in the next moment. 2 knockdowns that he had. I mean, that body shot, the second knockdown was beautifully timed and placed. I'm surprised Robson was able to get back up after that. But Navarrete, man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he thinks his talent is just going to take him further than it. But like, he's got to do some things to change some things, man. Like, if you're really down in Twinkies before the fight, like if you're really coming in fighting this sloppily, man, these other guys like O'Shaquie Foster would have pieced him up. He would have got countered all day, every day. I came out of that fight thinking, man, Robson Conceicao, man, I hope he gets more of these fights moving forward, right? Maybe not a title fight. Maybe they get a rematch, but I hope that he doesn't just fade away, man, because after that performance, man, he showed he's got the heart, the will, and he's got the skill. But man, I thought Robson Conceicao fought a very great fight as best as he could. Navarrete, I felt like, I don't know how prepared he was. He didn't look dialed in, locked in. Looked like he was just depending on what helped him get victories in the past. And man, that stuff catches up to you. Put down those Twinkies, bro, man. Like, we gotta, really wasn't a fan of that performance. But all in all, though, I thought it was a good fight overall, right? But from a individual standpoint, I like Conceicao's performance better than I liked Navarrete's performance. Although, man, I thought Navarrete did enough to edge and to win the fight. Split decision, mixed decision. I thought he did enough to win the fight. Now, let's go on to Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin de los Santos. I'm sure by now you've probably seen a bunch of different reactions to it. I'm sure you have your own reactions to it, which is why I'm doing it, because I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about the fight? Truthfully, what did you think about the fight? You know, Shakur Stevenson already said, man, that was a terrible performance. It wasn't a good performance. Whatever Shakur says on social medias, on the platforms, whatever he talks, he's going to have to live with the backlash of whatever is going to come his way when a performance is not to the standard and to the level where he would like it to be. You know, Shakur said something was wrong, right? And it seemed like it was to some extent, because he didn't really throw that left hand very much, man. I mean, he was really seemed like he was fighting De Los Santos with one hand, the right hand. But he didn't know, because he was a little bit hesitant, man. He did back up a little bit, right? Because maybe he felt the power of Edwin De Los Santos, right? The movement, the quickness, the speed. De Los Santos is the full package, man. Like, Shakur probably hasn't fought someone to the level that can do similar things that he can do, and maybe has a little bit more punching power, right? And so I think because of what was given to him when he sensed it, when he got into the ring and find his groove and really started to really feel the ins and outs of Edwin De Los Santos, he probably said, you know what? And if he wasn't feeling good, he probably said, you know what? If I engage too much, it could be a problem. So I'm going to find the right space to be able to just stay comfortable and comfortably win this fight. And that's exactly what happened. Edwin De Los Santos gave Shakur respect, and Shakur took that respect and did what he needed to do and didn't do more than he needed to do in order to get the win, right? And that's what it just looked like to me, man. Shakur was taking what was given to him, and he was not going to press the matter, wasn't going to push the pace. He was going to keep it right there and do enough to get the win. If he was hurt, if that left hand was hurt, the fact that he beat Edwin De Los Santos with practically one hand, however you think about that, says something, right? But all in all, man, I've been big on Shakur since his career started. And he even said it. This wasn't a good performance for Shakur Stevenson, man. He did not perform to the level that he wanted to. But at the end of the day, I also knew, like, somebody asked me, Akeem, what did you think about the fight, you know, in my DMs? And I said, you know, sometimes you just have down fights, right? And sometimes you have down fights, but sometimes your opponent gives you different things that you didn't expect them to, and you have to fight a different fight than the one that you imagine inside of your head. And Shakur isn't a guy who is going to take a risk if he does not need to. I thought when he fought Yoshino, he was motivated to get the stoppage, but he knew Edwin De Los Santos was a dangerous opponent because he packs a punch, because he's skillful, because of what he can do. I see it on the other hand too, like for me, if we're talking about the disappointment of Shakur Stevenson and how much it wasn't a good fight for him, then we can't be biased towards Shakur. We got to say the same thing about Edwin De Los Santos, because I tweeted this as well too. I said, man, if you don't take some risks or try to take some risks, Shakur is going to keep this pace all fight. I thought De Los Santos gave Shakur way too much respect. I thought he should have pushed the pace a little bit more, took a little bit more risk. Even if he would have got countered, at least he would have been able to let that power be felt a little bit more and let his hands go a little bit more. I understand he was probably frustrated. He was probably annoyed, but you cannot get sucked into fighting Shakur's fight. You still have to remember your game plan. And it seemed like he forgot his game plan, and maybe the frustration got into his head and he was not able to really solidify himself in this fight, because it looked the same from round 1 all the way to 12. And if you let Shakur stay comfortable and keep the distance, that's what he is going to do. That's what he's going to do. And that's what he did. So all in all, I don't think it was obviously wasn't the most eventful nor the most exciting fight. To me, I thought both men were kind of indecisive about what they wanted to do, man. I thought they gave each other way too much respect. I thought each man just played it comfortable. And one guy played it more comfortable and was more efficient and more effective slightly than the other. And that man came out on top, and Shakur Stevenson got the win. So all in all, man, uneventful fight. Wasn't Shakur's best performance. We hold him to a high standard as well that he does. But if we're talking about Shakur's fight not being exciting and he laying an egg, then we have to say similar things about Edwin De Los Santos, because he didn't push the pace either. All in all, wasn't the best night of boxing, but nonetheless, Shakur Stevenson came out with the win. I think Edwin De Los Santos at 135 pounds, man, I think he's a dangerous cat, man. And any other opponent that he would have faced other than Shakur, I would favor him to beat them because he is going to bring the pace. Regardless of what we think about the fight, man, Shakur Stevenson is that good defensively. So we'll see what happens, but I think Shakur needs to take some time, regroup himself. If he is hurt, then get the body healed. Edwin De Los Santos, I don't think his stock rose. I don't think his stock dropped by no means. So hopefully we get to see him in the ring next with someone else. And I'm looking forward to seeing when both of these men are back in the ring next, man. I'm not someone who is going to just throw away Shakur, throw away Edwin because of the performance, man. I think they're both great at what they do. But on a night like we saw on Thursday, sometimes you just get those nights where it's just uneventful, not really entertaining, not really a lot happening. It's boxing sometimes, and it happens. And on those fights, sometimes you got to win the ugly fights and find a way how to win the ugly fights and keep it pushing. What were your thoughts on this fight? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know if we have similar thoughts. Who would you like to see both of these men fight next? Let me know in the comment section below.